I'm just watching y'all for a minute. Hey, Carl, looking ass. Schneevening. Hey, Carl, bro. Now you're a gay basher? So what if I was gay? You're a gay basher. Look at these hands. These are hands of a gay man. Come on now. Pow! Okay, so a couple of things I want to bring to our attentions. I say attentions because my son, he's always like, "Daddy, I want your attentions." Like, I have more than one. So while I got your attentions, what we want to do here is looking ass. I want to here we go. So I'm sorry, I didn't really have this all the way set up. I just was kind of eating some dinner and I was like, man, you know what? Let me do something real quick. Since everybody's having a real hard time creating content, like, let me just show you real quick what it's supposed to look like. Hold on a second. This is going to be an interesting stream. I assure you of that. Let me see here. Okay, here we go. Social Fade, thank you for your contribution with this here. So the interesting part, pardon me. The interesting part about the vet. Let's take a look at this really quick. This isn't what this stream is going to be about, but I do want to cover this.
Oh no, it sounds robotic. Dang it. It doesn't sound robotic to us. Okay, well, let me just say real quick. You sound robotic, but I just want to say I'm at the freaking emergency vet with a 5-hour wait because nobody.
Oh, it's the puppy's fault, looking ass.
They will leave me alone about this silly puppy thing that I.
You chose to do it. It's not silly, right? This is just really an example of Benny Keys and his reach. So the puppy was taken to the vet, allegedly. Now, what's interesting about the puppy is this. I'm going to hold this way back here so that you can't see Ziggy's daughter's name. That's Ziggy's daughter's name signing the NDA. I suck at this. This is Ziggy's name on the NDA. It's the NDA, okay? So, there's an issue. There's an issue with the puppy, Ziggy. So, this right here, Ziggy, is breaking the NDA. And look at you, just smiling like a chipmunk with a cheek full of nuts. Looking ass. That one just came together beautifully. That was just right off the top. So, got a breaking of the NDA. You don't take that seriously. You don't take our true crime community seriously. So, also your daughter, she broke the NDA as well, coming on, reliving her account of being on the Wells property. I want to further double down. Many people believing that the bullshit that Ziggy says about this puppy. Allegedly, the vet said the puppy was 5 weeks old. For those of you that haven't looked at my community tab recently, we have this picture right here, right? Now, as you can see, these dogs still have, where are we at here? These dogs still have the afterbirth discoloration on them. Look at their paws. Those are brand new. So when you move it on down here, you can see those dogs are brand new. Those dogs are hours old. And that picture was taken on Sunday, December 26, 2021. So I'll add that a portion of the puppies were born on, I guess it was sort of mixed up between, I don't want to butcher this, but I want to say that some of the puppies were born Christmas morning, early when it was still dark, and then some born later on in the evening. So at any rate, there's only one current litter of puppies. There is no two like some of Ziggy's constituents will tell you that there was another litter of puppies that's 2 weeks older than these. That's incorrect. In fact, there isn't another female dog there that is of mating age. If there were, they'd be pregnant as well. So Yucky was the only one that has been with puppies. So that's interesting fact. So moving on to the content, because this here is just, it is what it is, right? It's just more lies that you could substantiate, I mean, it's just the worst, right? So Ziggy, you're still a fucking liar. All right, now, no thank you, looking ass. I want to show you something really quick. This was July 12th. This would have been a month and a few days after the disappearance of Little Summer Wells. You can see the title here. It says, it's a financial burden for an agency. This is a month and less than a week. This isn't even 5 weeks in. Just 5 weeks in.
Story since the beginning.
Yeah, honestly, dozens of agencies, organizations have pitched in and volunteered in the search for Summer. Now, with these efforts scaled back, what do we know about this search and where it goes from here?
Josh and Sarah, that's a really hard question to answer, but budget season is underway for a struggling Hawkins County, and that is for sure.
Not to mention, we had $32,000 come up missing in this whole time frame. Churchill Rescue Squad was $32K short during all of this, so I'm guessing it was a real fucking financial burden, at this point, because I will have you know this. They're saying it's a financial burden for an agency, and I'll have you know that the 32,000 missing from Churchill Rescue had not been discovered yet. So this is just some of that bullshit.
And commissioners are now working to figure out how to help fund the sheriff's department and the other rescue squads that were there on the scene working to find the little girl.
And this is a disaster, right? So a little girl went missing. This is as big of a disaster as you can imagine for us, really.
As all eyes were on Hawkins County during the ground search for Summer Wells, commissioners want to be sure those departments are funded.
A search of this scale and of this magnitude, I felt like probably drains some resources for the rescue agencies that are volunteer, and for our sheriff's department. I know there are literally thousands of man hours spent out there, and it's not over.
That was in the first 5 weeks, thousands of man hours.
and what that looks like for our budget.
Last week, Sheriff Ronnie Lawson said he didn't have exact totals for how much the search for the missing girl cost his department.
My patrol division, that's the officer who goes out and answers the calls and stuff. And my school resource officers, just those two groups alone, they accumulated over 3,200 hours. That's not counting the rest of the division.
Or the missing Churchill money. Holy shit. I don't know how long $32,000, I'm assuming that in something in the scale of this with Summer and the Wells family, $32,000, might not even run a whole day worth of wages and equipment fees and different things for one day's search. So, not that $30,000, would have solved the case, but it's sort of a segue into it's one of the ingredients, right, that slowed this thing down, because at 5 weeks, we already had this as a financial burden for the agency. Not to mention there was over 99 there's over 100 agencies all spending money, not just Hawkins County. Okay?
The search also highlighted issues with the communication system and
This is what getting away with it could look like. And I don't mean Don and Candace, right? Let's be very, very serious about the situation here. When you have a scenario where there's no forensic or biological evidence, and you have a sheriff saying that they passed a polygraph, those two corroborate each other in a real way, right? Now, if you, for whatever reason, don't believe that the polygraph is a good investigatorial tool, then throw it to the side. But you have to remember that all the forensics on the phones came back clean. So with that in tow, with the people that are intelligent and logic enough to understand that the polygraph is an investigatorial tool and not a prosecutorial tool, it is used in corroboration with other data to make a bigger picture of truth or deceit. So you run into a situation 5 weeks in where you have a financial burden, and this is the onslaught of it right here. This is got a bigger thing kind of loosely laid out, and it's probably still tighter than most of what you're going to see on YouTube this evening.
the county and depleted funds and resources from other agencies, including rescue squads and those that are volunteer-based.
We'll get to the depleted funds with the rescue squads.
It's going to cost a lot of money.
So this is what's interesting is the fact that this is July 12th. We're already talking about having financial issues with the search agencies. Meanwhile, we don't know that $32,000 is missing from that account, been misallocated for Miss Carol, whatever the hell her last name is, the director. She liked to pay for her personal shit, $30,000 worth. So, you already had financial setbacks. When they go to look in the Search Hill Rescue Squad account, they're not necessarily looking at the fact that they know there's 32 missing gone. They just know that the money is low. Okay? Now, when the money is low because it's been stolen, and because at 5 weeks in, you're already having financial burdens for the agency, you have to wonder how much did the $32,000 from Churchill and all of these other little things that popped up because of YouTubers and psychics, how much did it actually affect this case in the first 5 weeks? This thing was a 5-week-old case, and it was battered financially. It was battered in the media. It was battered on the home front. It was battered everywhere. And here we are 7 months later, and we're wondering, why does it look the way it does? And I'm going to tell you right now, because of the dumbass YouTubers and because of the thieving ass woman at the search agency, it created a lose-lose situation for little Summer Wells.
And the thing is that if it's going to cost this amount of money, we just have to figure out how to resource the sheriff's department. It's not a matter of, it's going to cost this much money, so we can't continue the search. That's not part of the conversation at all.
That's exactly what's happened. Okay, we know that at this point, 7 months later, what he's saying is he's trying to keep the public's confidence that this is going to continue on to be an everyday thing. We even heard the larger, heavier set TBI gentleman saying he was opposite of Miss Hannah there. He kept saying that this isn't going to stop. We're going to search every day. It is. They are. But I don't feel like they made the correct clarification with the public in understanding that when they say we're going to search every day, a public that is limited in the knowledge of what a search every day at 7 months looks like is very, very deceiving, right? What you say publicly is that you're going to keep this search going. In turn, what that does is that generates donations and funds coming into Churchill Rescue, right? We saw Sharon Mark generate $1,000. We've seen other donations be, sort of allocated and earmarked to go to specifically search agencies, whether it be Midwest EquiSearch or the original EquiSearch down here in Houston, Texas. There's been a lot of money that has been raised on many fronts. If you can imagine giving, let's say, the upwards of 15,000 or so that Molly Golightly raised, for instance, what if you were to have put that money back into another operation with TBI, who remains legitimate at Churchill Rescue Squad, the Midwest EquiSearch, they're right there. So these monies could be allocated in ways, if people over on MGLs really cared about finding Summer and they're raising all of this exorbitant money, how much more you could do with that money by dedicating it and earmarking it directly towards something for EquiSearch. Because at this point, in terms of private agencies that you might be able to get more information from, EquiSearch is going to be the only one. You're not going to get nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, anything more than what we've gotten now from TBI, anybody, FBI, anybody. Now,
this conversation is more about how can we resource our first responders to be able to do the job we paid them to do.
Hawkins County is heading into this fiscal year on a $2 million deficit and plans to make up the money from their reserve fund. While money can be moved around, Commissioner Hannah Weiniger wonders
best believe that shit was moved around, looking ass.
What other costs the counties could have if funding had to be cut back for those agencies.
If these rescue organizations fold in the county, we have to have these organizations.
Now, I'll tell you what, this lady here certainly is going to be on the oversight team that would have been able to identify the fact that $32,000 were missing from the Churchill Search and Rescue Fund. You start to look at a lot of these people, and when you can identify and deduce what position they hold in the community civic government, many of these people are culpable for different misallocations. Some not in my opinion, others very much in my opinion.
Have these type of things. So if they fold, what does that look like, and what would that cost the county to pay, county employees to do these kind of services?
This upcoming year's budget for the county will go to the full commission at the end of this month. Now, it's important to make it clear that this is only the total for the Sheriff's Department's entire operating costs, not necessarily individual investigations. Now, both Commissioner Weiniger and Roach say that they expect the commission to move money around as needed when the Sheriff's Department...
Oh, I bet they're going to move money around to cover up all kinds of shit. Let's go ahead and do this real quick. Church, and then we're going to get to the meat. Churchill Rescue, RESQUE, Rescue Theft. I think they just called it theft. I don't think they actually ever called it an embezzlement. course they didn't. Look, nobody cares. 52 views. Oh, shit.
46 pounds. Gone, baby. Gone. I did it with Nutrisystem.
Chris the Bear Berman.
I'm a big hearty.
Now, the former treasurer of 2 emergency service organizations has pleaded guilty to theft. The Tennessee Comptroller's Office says Carla Dyke stole.
Let me tell you what. She could have walked in and stole a pair of earbuds from Target and also been charged with theft. If I stole $32,000, if I stole $32, it's not going to be theft. It's going to be robbery. Highway fucking robbery.
More than $47,000 at least from the Churchill Rescue Squad between January 25th.
Now, I'm confused all of a sudden because I'm seeing 47 and I'm seeing 32. Dykes looking ass. Carla Dykes stole $47,000 from the Churchill Rescue Squad, and she stole $32,800 from the Hawkins County Volunteer Firemen Association. Now, Dali, gang, bro, you have my permission to stream this. Now, I'm not a fucking mathematician by any count, so we're gonna do this the easy way. Haha, looking ass. 47000 plus 32,800. Looking at 79,800. $80,000 this bitch stole. That put a what? That put a burden on search agencies in the first 5 weeks. Moving forward.
2013 and August of 2020. Dykes used the agency's debit card to make personal.
Remind you that she's a Dykes. And I'm not trying to be funny. Dykes holler, looking ass. Moving on.
Payments. Dykes was also previously working as treasurer for the Hawkins County Volunteer Firemen's Association.
That's a fucking problem. Looking ass.
An investigation later found that she transferred.
Hey, Dolly, if you're going to stream me, bro, roll up. Smoke them if you got them. Smoke them if you got them. I need to take a break because this is about to get really, interesting. Because I'm gonna paint a Picasso for you, but the eyes are gonna be lined up, the nose is gonna be in the right spot and shit. I just need a little marijuana to do it. So, it's the cheat code, right? It's the cheat code, and I know Dolly smokes good. So, I'm gonna tell you what this is. This is the cheat code for me and Dolly. This is why me and Dolly are on top. This is why Glare is on top. Glare wouldn't be on top if he didn't smoke weed. Oh, shit. Hold on. This shit is disturbing because these people are out here scrounging around for fucking content. And I could, like, smoke a piece of doobie and take a dump and come up with, like, hours of, like, really solid content that people are like, man, he must have been in a laboratory having help doing that shit. And I was like, well, if you call the shitter a fucking laboratory, then you're spot on. She said she stole it to pay her mortgage and other shit. But I've seen her. Yeah, she has rental properties. She bought a bunch of shit with her rental properties. I'm old school, Dolly. I smoke blunts. So let me put together a 2-seater real quick. Looking at share. I'm putting together a 2-seater. We're going to fly under the radar, though, so we don't actually need. And then you know what? She never even, you know what? She knows shit about fucking true crime. If she watched the fucking Tiger King, she would know that Carol Baskin's husband, he didn't have a pilot's license either, but he fucking flew all over the fucking world under the radar. This bitch was never like, oh yeah, they fly under the radar. Tim doesn't even have a pilot's license. Like, that would make more sense, looking ass. This shit you got going on is like some fantasy island shit. Oh, shit. Oh, double down looking ass. Oh, Tim does Dallas looking ass. Oh, shit, man. You silly motherfuckers, you. I'm about to show you something, you dumbasses. It's been right in front of your faces the whole fucking time. Looking ass. First of all, I want to publicly discuss another thing. And because I'm discussing this, don't you think for a minute that this is in fucking favor of that cocksucker Brad, 423 Chase. This is not in that man's fucking favor at all. Don't you get it twisted that because I'm about to say something about these fucking billboards that I support that sodomite in the least. All right? I'm going to paint you a fucking picture after I finish this right here.
Nearly $33,000 from her association to offset her expenditures with the rescue squad's funds.
They move some money around looking at you. Heard them say it in the other video. They're going to move some money around. They got to move some money around. They got some money. They grew legs and got to moving around.
Dykes was sentenced to 6 years on supervised probation and was ordered to pay
I'd get 60 years in a fucking can, no clothes, bread loaf, you know what I'm saying, on seg looking ass. Getting my medicine through a needle in my butt looking ass. If I stole $79,000, boy, fuck you mean.
Restitution to both organizations.
All right.
Now, the former treasurer of 2 emergency service organizations has pleaded guilty.
Shut up, Bangs. Check this out. Talk about this motherfucking me Billboard business real quick. Y'all got me fucked up like church shoes with scuffs on the tips looking ass. Look here. I don't give a fuck what you say. If you motherfuckers think that, if you motherfuckers for a minute, and I'm not talking about none of my people. My people already know they're my motherfuckers. The rest of y'all motherfuckers, look here. These motherfucking billboards. Let me read this to you. Oh, shit. Just kind of hit me. If we think she didn't wander away and that Don and Candace had something to do with her disappearance, why were we ever focused on billboards? Everyone, for the most part, thought the billboard was a good idea, but didn't actually fucking understand what it represented. What it represents is it represents that a 5-year-old child was abducted. It doesn't represent that Don and Candace are involved, but much the opposite. I hate this community doesn't possess the depth to see what the billboard even represents. This is an actual nightmare. Holy sweet God, save this child. Now, can you imagine the fucking insanity of Brad trying to convince you that you need to send money for a billboard? Meanwhile, he's having private talks about putting a pistol to Don Wells' head because he thinks Don Wells had something to do with his daughter's disappearance. Make that make sense. How the fuck can you be involved in putting up a billboard, but at the same time think that Don and Candace, what are you asking? Are you asking every single person to drive by the Wells house and look on their property to see if she's buried on their property somewhere? Because for you to put up a billboard and for you to, let me tell you what, the police can say whatever the fuck they want. When the police create an Amber Alert and then they automatically put the little girl's face on a billboard, what the fuck does that suggest? What are you suggesting? An Amber Alert doesn't suggest that this child wandered away. A billboard and all the bullshit with the billboard, if any of you thought that the billboard was a good fucking thing, then silently what you confirmed to yourself unknowingly was that you too believe the girl's been abducted, because if she hasn't been abducted, there's no fucking need for this sign right here. None. Absolutely no fucking need for this sign whatsoever. And that's the God honest truth. Right? What the fuck good is the sign for? If you think Don and Candace had something to do with the disappearance, and some of you even deeper, the death of this young girl, why the fuck do you support a billboard? If you think Don and Candace had something to do with it, then you never support the idea of a billboard because it's fucking against the very science that you believe in. So for all of you that supported the billboard and thought that it's a great thing to have summer, you know, Tiffany Marie was so upset that the billboard came down because Brad fucked around with the money. Well, guess what, Tiffany? And this isn't a shot at you. This is real logic, love. You could not be mad about that billboard coming down with that girl's face on it if you think her parents did something to her. Because those two things are opposite of one another. Now, the police can't stop you as a community and as a family and as, you know, whatever organization to put up a billboard of this young girl. But let me tell you what the organizations that put up these billboards think about this young girl. Let me tell you what about the people who, I hope you people that all donated believe that Don and Candace are actually innocent, because if you didn't, what you did was donated money to a billboard for your own self-glory. That's it. You aren't putting this billboard up to help that little girl's face, or you're not putting this up to help anyone but the way you feel about you. Because having anything to do with that billboard suggests that you know she was abducted and not wandered away. I hope, let that sink in for a minute, right? Let that sink in. Oh, that's awesome. So there is one of the Wells dogs. This is just fucking, look at here. You guys are going to be, I can't show you who sent it. This is one of the Wells dogs at the pound. Ziggy was offered this dog, but refused her. She wanted the puppy, even though that it wasn't ready. Okay, so that's it, Gulf Coast. Missing billboards are for the missing. Wandered away is kind of missing, but missing, like, got gone. Hooah. Now, I'm going to go ahead and move this on over to what it could look like to get away. Okay? What we do know is that Sheriff Lawson's theory is that young Summer Wells, this, and I quote, the very real possibility she wandered away and became lost in the mountainous regions around her home. Fact check it. That's verbatim, like Humpty Dumpty sat on a log. All right? Let's check this out really quick. How fast do 8-year-olds walk? The 7 to 8-year-old girls had a median, which is average or mean, walking speed of 1.3 miles per hour. Or I'm guessing that's meters per second. However, both males and females show similar trends for ages 9 to 14 years of age, where average speeds approach around 1 mile an hour. Okay, so when you compute that against an average adult speed, you're looking at 3 to 4 miles per hour based upon terrain, fitness level, age, overall health. So we're thinking in terms of a 5-year-old girl We know the terrain. We know that it's up and down terrain. Now, what I'm going to show you is going to be hard for you to, anyone that's never been there, it's going to be hard for you to gauge what is really going on with the terrain there. And there's not really anything that I could do to bring that into a scope or a light that is going to be easier for you to understand, other than just showing you what it could look like. Now, we're going to move over here. Let me make sure everything is copacetic here. Okay, let me change this. I've got to put the screen back up. There we go. Now, in terms of, let's go ahead and zoom this in. Okay. We've got Ben Hill, 110 Ben Hill Road right here. Okay. That's the hill. So when we think in terms of 1 mile per hour, okay, 1 mile per hour, we know that 1 mile is, what is it, 5,000, whatever. I've got it set up here for miles and square miles. So okay, guys, moderators, let's, as long as everyone has a respectful opposing view, let them make it tonight. Or a respectful opposing a question. We understand that the only way that you sharpen a knife is to, sharpen iron on iron, right? So that's what we're doing tonight. Now, what I want to do really quick is, if we think in terms of when she went missing, right? So we're going to go ahead and let's go. There's a mile radius around the home. That's if she walked a literal 1 mile per hour. Okay? That's a 1 mile radius. Now, that's for 1 hour. Okay? Let's go ahead and clear it. We'll go 2 miles so as to represent a longer timetable or a slower walk. Now, in this 2 mile radius, you have to bear in mind that with all the physical obstacles in terrain, that the 2 mile per hour actual walk probably isn't going to be it's not going to be it's not going to be an accessible tip or clue or theory, right? Because unless the young girl was walking on a flat terrain or on the road, she's not going to make 2 miles in 1 hour. Even running, unless she's on a main road, she's not going to run 2 miles per hour through the ups and the downs. Now, if you look here in the bottom right-hand corner, what I want to make mention is that the the elevation on top of the hill is roughly 1375, 1380. Down to Beach Creek Road, you got 1337. So you've got a 30 to 40 foot drop between the top of the hill and the road. So everything on the road is on a much lower elevation. Also it's they're traveled roads. So unless you start looking at a scenario where she came down Ben Hill and came out the back here, or out this way, or this way, you're looking at very small search area. Okay? Very small search area. This is under the ideology, folks, of Sheriff Lawson's theory that the very real possibility that she wandered away. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and let's make the search area bigger. So we're going to go ahead and we will make it a 4-hour search window. We're going to go 4 miles. So this gives you, basically, it's going to give you the 4 square mile. Oh, that's the radius. Hold on. Yeah, so we want to go. I'm sorry, guys. I was reading the wrong one. It's still, so that's 1 mile radius. Okay, well, that's 1 mile radius. I'm sorry, guys. I was reading the circumference. Forgive me. I thought it looked small. So that's 1 mile radius. And that kind of changes the scope of it, right? So now you're going to a 2 mile radius. This is 2 miles in lineal time as it refers to feet, or, the measure of distance. So in 2 miles, walking at 1 mile per hour, a child's speed, you would think that it would be somewhere in this general area, which is a lot, right? Now, if you were to even, let's say, for instance, you move the search area off. Let's say she didn't go this way. Let's say she wandered this way, right? But what we do know is the wandering was more like this. If you think in terms of what we know of the footprints on neighbor's property, which is going to roughly be in this area by the Sioux, everything pushed south. Everything pushed southeast of the Wells house. And when you look at that in terms of what that looks like geographically, it certainly starts to really slow down. Anything in here is going to be very rugged. And then it's of course, you're at 1582, right? On down here, you're talking about 1,000 feet difference in elevation. So it's coming up the hill to the peak, right? Down here at Ben Hill at 110, you got 1425. Up here on the top of the hill of the mountain, look at you're approaching 1,700 feet up, right? So it's a really steep ridge coming on down to the lower elevation, which is going to be somewhere. This is going to be somewhere in the grade of over here in relativity. So that is what you're looking at, in my opinion, in the highest probability when you think logically of where, if the real possibility that she wandered, which way would it be based upon what we know about the footprints. We weren't going to find footprints heading in a southerly direction, but then some kind of way circle back and go west or east. That in a logical, critical mind, that doesn't start to make a lot of sense. Now, if you clear this out, let me really, really zoom this out. This is going to make a different scope to you now. Now check this out. We're at 110 Ben Hill Road. Imagine you're in a vehicle. And I'm not going to say anyone could safely go, I'm not going to say anyone could safely go 60 miles an hour down through there. I don't think there's any way. I think Don could, but I think that it's unsafe at best to go 60 miles an hour. So let's imagine you take a girl and at the top speed down through there, you're going 60 miles an hour. We'll give that to him, right? We'll give him 60 miles an hour. Hold on. That's 30 miles an hour. $30 miles. You want to go 60? It's going to break your fucking heart, I promise you. 60. Here you go. Hell, 60, right? Touches over into Kentucky. See? Here's the line here. This is Kentucky, right? Let's go ahead and zoom this out here. You've got North Carolina. You've got Kentucky. Georgia's a real possibility. Look at that. That'll break your heart right there. No roadblocks. I mean, just the ability to be on a highway and get north, south, east, west. I mean, any place in no time. There you have it. At 60 miles an hour. Let's say over time and distance throughout, let's say in 4 hours from leaving the house, 60 miles, right? So we'll go 200. We'll just call it an even 200. That's roughly 4 hours going 50 miles an hour. So you've got a big problem here. North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, damn near Indiana, Ohio. You've got a real issue here. So that's at 50 miles an hour for 4 hours. And here we are, we're giving Hawkins County a hard time. What's the probability she's in Tennessee at this point? In my opinion, very low. So we know that I drove from Texas, Dallas, Texas, to Rogersville, Tennessee in one day, 13 hours. Let's go 50 miles an hour. Hold on. Let's go, thank you, Fizzle. Let's go 50 miles an hour times 12 hours. So we'll go 600 real quick. It's a very real possibility. Wouldn't be nothing to go 10 hours straight. 10 hours, 50, 60 miles an hour. You got a fucking problem, is what you got. You've got Canada in play. You've got all of the eastern seaboard, most of the Gulf Coast, clear into Missouri, Michigan, parts of the Upper Peninsula in Michigan. This is a real problem. And here we are, we're focused on 110 Ben Hill. Do we have any idea the number of actual physical addresses that would be available to search in a 609 square mile radius? I don't think anyone's thought about it in this scope. Have you? Have you? I don't think there's any possible way you could have thought about it in this scope. There's no way. That represents 10 hours at 60 miles per hour. Huh. Whoa. Right? Breaks your heart like that, right? Because you could put Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, right? Alabama. I mean, look at it. I mean, just fucking look at it. You've got St. Louis, Indianapolis. Fuck, you got fucking Chicago in it, right? We know in Chicago, 30 people, or every 30 minutes, someone goes missing in Chicago. It's a fucking hotbed for missing people, right? You've got New Orleans. You've got the Miamis and the Dade counties. You've got all of the major city hubs where you would expect someone could go. Little Rock, Arkansas, right? You've got all the major hubs where somebody could really do some serious issue here, right? What does a perfect kidnapping look like? It looks like the Madeleine McCann story. Or it looks like something like Orrin and Orson West case out of Cal City. You've got cases that look similar, differing opinions, but no kids being found. And this is a problem. Okay? Virtually, 2/3 of Florida. Now, we know that quite naturally the ocean is not part of this dynamic. So you could understand, even if you took the ocean out of the play, it just starts to get worse and worse and worse. If you imagine they went west. Now, if you imagine they went east, then yeah, they're going to be pushed right up against the eastern seaboard, and small little towns and things of that nature. So, I mean, look at what we're dealing with here. Look at what the police are dealing with. Now, let's bring this back in. Let's go ahead and bring this down in. Just pay attention, guys. Look at all the damn different places this little girl could be. All the different addresses she could be at. Let's just pick a spot. Wow. Maybe. She's inside the circle, right? Let's pick another one. That's just a randomer, right? That's just a random spot. It's in the circle. Let's go. Let's go Kentucky. Boom. Where are we at here? Bowling Green, Kentucky. It's just about this. This is about how precise you could even go. If you had nothing to go on, you're just looking at a map with a circle on it, and you're doing numbers, and you're like, well, shit, could she be inside of this circle? Could be. Very well could be. And she's in that big circle. Could be in the middle of all that. Let's go 800. Oh, there you go. Holy shit. That gets you down in some of the islands almost, don't it? It's a bad deal. It's a real bad deal. So if we do the same thing and we eliminate the C and we push over our search area, fuck. That's most of the U.S. in about 12 to 14 hours. You've come out of Kingsport and you've got the whole fucking everything available to you. You can't imagine all the possibilities, right? There's over 200 million people inside these yellow lines right here. Summer Wells is inside of this somewhere. I mean, I'm just generically speaking as far as the circle is concerned, but the circle really does give you, it sort of gives you a segue in, doesn't it? You're like, wow, holy cow, the possibilities, right? Like you can't even, what can you do with that? What can you do with that when you've got a polygraph, you've got no forensics, no digitals, no witnesses, except for Jody Sue? Do we think with all of this available to us, people, that for some reason we still don't believe Don? We still think after 7 months we can look in that podunk town and we're still going to fucking have hope that we're going to find her when we have all that to look for, to look through. And we haven't even fucking started looking there. We're stuck looking on that. We're right at this yellow dot right here. It's as far as we can get. We can't even get off that fucking hill, can we? And we got all this to look through. Maybe even more. Hell, do this. Imagine they went all the way west. So they picked her up from wherever on Ben Hill Road, and they only went west. Gang, gang. The fuck you gonna do with that? Part of Mexico's in that bitch. The worst parts of Mexico too, might I add. You've got fucking, look at it. New Mexico, Colorado, got a lot of mountainous terrain there. Look, you've got mountains here. You've got the plains, and then you're right back into the mountains again, baby. And here we are, we're stuck on this little yellow fucking dot with all our best thinking. That's as far as we can go. We can't get off that fucking dot, man. We can't get off that dot long enough to stop talking about puppies and bones and protesters. What in the fuck do you mean? Do you mean to tell me at fucking almost the 7th month anniversary, Molly Golightly is finally going to come off the case? I guess what that means is you stomped all the pieces of glass into sand, and now you're going to walk right over top of this fucking child, right? Yeah. This is what we're looking at, people. How long before fizzle? How long after the call did the Amber Alert come out? I want everyone to be very, very aware. Very aware of what the search area actually is and what YouTube is focused on. Let me tell you what, folks, ladies, rather, my critical thinking, free thinking, non-herd thinking females, and Rap and Mark, they can't. They can't search off that hill. In fact, you want to know what? Ziggy's taken it as far as it's ever been before. She took it to Fred Hills. That's as far down the road as it's been. Thank you for that part, Ziggy. That's this area right here. This corner lot right here. This is all inclusive. This is all everything. It's all right here, right? That's as big as they can get it in their mind. That's it. 11.25 acres on Earth is as big as they can go. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. We're dealing with a nightmare. We are dealing with a fucking absolute nightmare. You fucking stay in Kingsport and bother them fucking people all you want. Guess what, man? We still think Don and Candace beat a cadaver dog? Many cadaver dogs? Huh? Is that what we think? We think that, let's put it back here. 800. I hate 800. I don't even want to look at 800. Let's do something much smaller. Like, let's do 500. Like, I'm okay with looking at 500. 500 don't hurt my heart too bad. Like, that's like, we can manage that, right? Like, and that's huge. That is a huge search area. And that you can do in about 8 hours. You can leave Ben Hill Road and be anywhere in that circle in about 8 hours. If you go 70, less time. If you're going 80, less time, right? 10 hours of driving at 80 miles an hour is going to get you 800 miles. Six hours later. So, Dolly, essentially, bro, they were able, at 80 miles an hour, 6 hours, let's say 60 miles an hour, 6 hours later, you're looking at 360, 400 miles. So before the Amber Alert ever even was issued, we had roughly about that to deal with. Before it was even issued, that's what we had right there. And so we were already 2,500 circular miles, the circumference. We were already 401 mile radius behind when it started. So you can imagine each hour that thing gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And let me be very quite honest with you and very blunt with you, everyone. That's probably where we're at now. In all reality. In the arena of, quantification and computation, with linear, distance and time and travel, like probably the whole earth, really. This is just me being exaggerated, right? But 7 months. Take you 30 days to travel around the world at an efficient pace. 30 days. Could have went around the world 7 times. The whole world. Like, the whole world. All the way around the backside and over here. And you could go all the way over this side and back up. And you could do it every different way 7 different times. That's a problem. That's a problem. And in all of its finiteness, they're stuck searching the red pen. Ooh-ah. How many fucking times are we going to search the red pen? I don't know. I'm done searching the red pen. When are you going to be done searching the red pen? When are you going to realize that any person other than the Wells at 100 and what are we at? No, we're at 200 and what are we at here? 210 days, roughly. And we're still searching, gang, we're still searching the red pen. And I ask you to ask yourself, motherfucker, for what? You think that what? The rain's going to erode the grave that she's on Ben Hill looking ass? Or is it out of quantification and computation that she could be anywhere but right there? Is there no way? Is there no way that she could be anywhere inside of a ring like that? That's only 167 miles. Let's get real, Benny. 167 miles, well, that isn't probably far enough at all. So let's just go with the standard 200, right? Let's just put the getaway real close. How fucking close is it? Cincinnati, Louisville, Nashville, Charlotte, Atlanta, Virginia, West Virginia. Where are we at here? Where the fuck are we at? Probably, clearly, anywhere but 110 Ben Hill Road. I'm just guessing. I'm going to take an educated lotto odd kind of guess and say that she is any fucking where but 110 Ben Hill Road. Now, if you wanted to think in terms of Don Wells being guilty, what I would ask some of you scholars to then in turn do is to do anything that resembles logic. For instance, how far could have Don got away and gotten back? I don't know. What's generous? What's generous? 60? 60 miles? Would 60 miles be generous? Generous? Probably. So let's give him 60 miles at 60 miles an hour. So let's give him 120. No, but it's because he's got to come back. So we got to give him 30. 30 there, 30 back. At least you folks start looking in this circle. Anywhere other than Ben Hill Road. Okay? That's 30 miles out, 30 miles back. Halfway to Knoxville, halfway back. Search that area. How about that? Couldn't have got no further than that. There isn't time in the timeline for him to go any further than 1 hour away, if that's what you think. But you got to remember, the phone never said he went there, or else they would have just followed where his phone went. So that's where you got to start remembering about digital forensics and the polygraph. So Where do you search when the polygraph and the digital forensics come back in the Wells' favor? This is where you search. Any fucking where. You can search there. Let me tell you where else you can search. You can search there. You can search there. You can search there, over here, over there. Wherever you want to search at is okay. But because of no biological evidence, no digital GPS, data forensics, and we have the polygraph. You mean to tell me by proxy, YouTube is not smart enough to throw this pin anywhere and say, okay, that's as viable a spot right there as right here. 7 months later, right? You've not, let's try another one. Hold on. How about this? Let's search that person's house. We've not searched that one yet. We've searched where the red dot is, though, over and over and over. 7 times to be to be exact. So how about wherever that house is there? We can search there. We haven't searched there yet, right? You get my point? Let's do one more. How about over here? I don't think we've searched that person's house yet. You want to know where I know they've searched for her, though? Right there. And they haven't found her. And they haven't locked her parents up either. So pick anywhere else in the world, I dare you. Pick somewhere else to search for that girl, I dare you. Absolutely, Penny. So she says, sorry for interrupting, but they are focused on the local areas so much. I'm guessing that's because statistics show that where they should be looking close to the area she was taken from. No need to take her far and wide unless you plan on keeping her. But statistics show the abductor discards the child normally within the hour. So, if we're going to run, let's run Penny's theory real quick. Or it's not Penny's theory. Let me retract that. That is the statistic. So, 60 miles an hour safely driving, and within the hour linear timeline that we know abductors statistically keep their victims, that's still the search area. North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, you've got Virginia, you've got an issue. So that's in 1 hour, going 60 miles an hour, right? It's a big circumference, To remain searching right there on Ben Hill is asinine at best. I mean, that's like every single YouTuber trying to return to the same place one's already been, hoping that the YouTuber before them drops Summer Wells out of their pocket. That's sort of the vibe that you're guessing has to happen in order to come there as a new YouTuber and find Summer Wells somewhere that everyone has already searched. So that's kind of my piece for tonight, right? It's this easy, guys, gals. It's this easy to put your mind to good use and understand the possibilities that lie so way far outside the Wells. I'm going to go ahead and come over here back to the chat, and I will take some questions, or I can Enchanted thinks we are all child traffickers and we worship the devil because Benny has a pan tattoo. Yeah. I do have a pan tattoo. Let's see here. Copy. I'm going to go ahead and open up the chat if anybody wants to come up and talk. talk about it. I would like to keep, if you come up and decide you want to come up, I ask that you keep it to what we're talking about this evening. Little Fawn. You're welcome, Little Fawn. Enchanted is crazy, yeah. I think it's local that took her. Nonces have content. Yeah, they do. Chat with Benny. Who said what? Who said that? Jody Sue wants everything handed to her on a silver platter. Yeah. What's up, sis? Glad to see you in the house. Glad to see you in the house. Here's your prompt. You just click the link pinned in the top of the chat, and then just follow the directions. This is pretty easy. Pendar's in the house. Pendar, how you doing, love?
Hey, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine, lovely.
My husband is sleeping, so I'm trying not to be too loud.
Okay.
What I was going to say was, I've said for a while, I think she could be anywhere in the nation and possibly even beyond there. But wouldn't it be helpful if we could get together with like some trucking companies and show these flyers to, their drivers?
Absolutely.
Maybe they've seen her somewhere.
Absolutely.
And make it like a nationwide effort.
Yep. No, I've even thought about creating some sort of nonprofit where you could, and this is real deal. Anyone take the idea, run with it if you think you can do it faster and better. But I'm almost certain that we could get a nonprofit organization created where you had relationships with trucking companies that you could actually put little bracket holders on the back of the truck doors that would hold different missing children pictures.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's a scenario where donations pay for, very small advertising brackets that it's a win-win for everyone,
Well, even like truck stops, there's going to be truckers that see that stuff, and four-wheelers, like they call it four-wheelers when you're a trucker. Yep. Just cars. The people that will come up and get food and stuff, and they'll see the flyers. But yeah, I just think she's somewhere else, like
absolutely
Nebraska or something.
It quantifies, to what we know, in terms of, the search right around the residence there. It's been picked and picked and picked and picked.
Yeah, so, and that made sense at first.
Absolutely.
You got
now the return search. I do believe it was just to cross their T's and dot their I's in regards to the changing of the terrain with the leaves and all. They just wanted to go back and make sure that what they had already looked at was still the same, or hadn't changed any. So that's my opinion.
In my head, though, when that happened, the leaves were also covering. When they fell, they were covering stuff. So I don't
absolutely
know how you could see. Absolutely. But then I'm pretty sure Cam said that they could look at it in a different way once the leaves were down. Even like, I don't know if it wasn't like X-ray, but there's indentations.
Yeah, they have a new camera out, and it's sort of breaking. And I don't know if it's a new camera as much as it is just an update to existing technology. But what it is a camera that will identify the heat signature of decomposition. When your body is decomposing, it keeps a relative temperature of 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit. So this camera with this technology is designed to pick up that very low level heat signature. And even with that very sophisticated technology, it was much the same technology that was used in the Brian Laundrie case, the Gabby Petito case. looking for low heat signature decomposition, and there isn't any. There's just not
Right.
any. You know.
Right. And now, who's the guy that lost his son? I forget. He's the one that's got the nationwide face out there.
John Walsh.
Yes, his son was taken in like 7 seconds.
Yeah, in a mall.
Yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
thinking, you could like add on to what he's already doing with the nationwide truckers or whatnot. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to come up. Airports, who knows?
There's so many different ways of moving, information about these cases that doesn't concern a human being, right? We need to focus on how we move the information about the missing without making it a scenario that human beings have to relay that information, because, we've all played the game as kids where, it starts out a red Corvette and it finishes out a purple elephant. It's never what it was supposed to have been when it started. So you have to find out the continuity, the most continuous road to bring information where it has zero room for a human to change it with opinion.
Right. And let me tell you, I used to be an air traffic controller. So everything had to be accurate.
Precise.
Right. And the more you wrote things down and passed it along, the more there was a chance for error. So if you could get that into like a computer, then there was no chance of, unless that the person putting it in the first place, was wrong.
Right.
But
if you have a computation error, of course, but nowadays everything is, it's really, when it comes to the missing, they've just tailored the technology to fit the need. It's not like the new technology is leading the race in finding children, because, look around, we don't have there's not a magic cure to bringing these people home. It's hard work. It's consistent effort.
At some point, I think people don't even care after a while. They're just like, yeah, well, they've been gone. Oh, well, didn't find them. So sad. And it's just like, you can't give up. You just can't give up. People
you hear
years later.
You hear 300,000 kids documented around the world go missing. Now, when you imagine, let's say your Dallas Cowboys playing your Washington football team, there's roughly 30,000 people in that stadium, and that thing is packed. It's loud. Now, imagine putting 300,000 children all in one stadium or one receptacle. It would be a Dallas Cowboys stadium times 100.
Yeah.
300,000 children. Imagine stacking up 300,000 children. It would be as tall as a pyramid in Egypt.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Where are these children at?
Yeah, exactly. Ugh, I just
tell you what, they're not sitting. This child is not sitting on top of 110 Ben Hill Road. Right?
No.
It's anywhere else, Pendar. That's where she's at. Everywhere and anywhere else.
Talk about a needle in a haystack, right?
Even worse. I mean, we've got it's a needle in 200 million haystacks. We got 200 million people roughly in the United States that we got to sift through to find this girl.
Yeah.
That's an impossibility without all the cylinders firing for this search mission. Everything has to fire perfectly. Like the moon, the earth, the sun, the stars, Jupiter, everything has to be in line to bring this child home. And we're never going to get it in line if we keep depending on YouTube to fucking, pardon my French, to fucking start the search and head it in the correct direction.
I just, if it just seems so big sometimes, and it's not just Summer, but I wish if we could use this to help find Summer, maybe we can use this to help find other kids too, and not give up. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, and I want to mention one thing while we're here.
Okay.
And it is the slippery nature of the Amber Alert. And I'm going to tell you why. Because, and please, when I talk about this, I don't want you to think that I am against Amber Alerts, but all I'm doing is showing you the critical thinking side, the other side of the Amber Alert. Okay. Now, everyone thinks that Amber Alerts can do no wrong. And I'm here to tell you that they actually can and do damage, right? Let me show you. For instance, let's take a look at. And this is just a for instance. Any Amber Alert, right? Now, what you've done is you've taken a picture of a child and a potential abductor. Now, the issue with this is that you don't know definitively or not. You could never know if that's the abductor. Now,
Right.
the only reason you need to know this little girl's name and this man's name is if you know these people in real life. You are never going to see this abductor in Walmart and say, "Hey, D'Angelo,
Right. Yeah.
give me Gene Clark back." You don't need to know any of this stuff. What this does is before this man has even been taken to a preliminary examination, he has been labeled as the abductor. Now what happens is you've got people in front of his mom's house in Ocala, Florida, and they're protesting his dad, and they're doing all this crazy stuff, digging into his background. And let me tell you what, Pendar, it could be just as simple as the child's mother didn't like what he had to say to her, or he didn't bring her back on Sunday exactly when he said he would. This Amber Alert actually sometimes doesn't mean shit.
That's
now,
true.
Let me show you this here. Look here in the bottom. It's very, 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 very telling. If located, do not approach. Contact law enforcement immediately. Why the hell do you need to know his name then?
Yeah, exactly.
If you're never going to contact him, why do you need to know his name? You would be better off spending the other time in this graphic right here talking about his physical appearance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Braided hair, falls to the left.
Any tattoos?
Yeah, expressive eye. Like you could do a lot of things in the way of talking about the abductor. Now, the other thing is that Amber Alerts typically they have to meet a standard. And what those standards are, you have to be able to identify the potential abductor, the potential victim, the potential description of vehicle,
right,
with a tag, and usually a direction of travel.
Right.
In Summer Wells case, you did not have that.
Right.
You did not have any of those things. But later on, you had the issue with the red truck. You had all these different things. You had Jody Sue saying that she saw this red vehicle, dusty or no clear coat. She saw this man. She needs a sketch artist. You have all of these things that point away from anyone else except for the Wells. It could be anyone else in the world except for the Wells. And for whatever reason, the furthest that we can look for Summer Wells is on that 11.25 corner acre parcel where Ben Hill Road meets Beach Creek. That's the only place that they're capable of looking, Pendar, period.
I mean, it's just sad. It's so sad.
Yep.
And
this
in the
is the
meantime,
way,
you've got
in my,
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead, I'm sorry, Pendar.
I was just going to say you've got people that are accusing the parents who've passed a polygraph.
Absolutely.
Right? And have no charges.
Absolutely.
And based on what? Based on what?
An opinion that they believe is factual. It is a bunch of mentally ill people who don't decipher and deduce things well in their own lives. And so when it comes to dealing, and let me tell you what, these people, Pendar, these people spend so much time dealing with Don, Candace, and Summer Wells' life so as they don't have to deal with their own life.
That's what I was thinking too.
That's what it is. Look at these creators. Creators are what? What do creators create? Well, these creators are creating bullshit. Okay. And that's just what it is. None of this is.
And they like the attention. And I was thinking, I think I was talking to Seasons earlier today, and I said, they want the attention because if they didn't have the YouTube or whatever, nobody would talk to them. Nobody would call them to see how the hell they are. Nobody would care because
they're not even extraordinary weirdos. They're just
extraordinary
weirdos that nobody finds them applicable to anything important, and so they have to try to find these seams and these weak points in other people's lives to insert themselves as some sort of dominant, controlling force. Now, let me tell you what.
Almost living vicariously through the people that they're looking at.
Absolutely. These people have a macabre fascination with other people's pain, right? It's like ambulance chasers.
Ooh, that's creepy. That is creepy.
Right? It's the same thing like sexual offenders, right? Once they're on the outside, it's widely known that a lot of them like to listen to to different things on social media, videos and things that depict women giving statements about being abused, right? Certain sorts of men offenders will come here just to hear despicable details about what people think happened to a child, right?
Right. Yeah.
And that's what
it's like returning to the scene of a crime, sort of.
It is. It's like in Chicago where they have the mafia, the mafia kill tour or whatever. It's people with a macabre fascination for death, and they want to see where it happened, and they want to try to feel the vibe, and that's what you're seeing with all these these sort of copycat frequent flyers to the Hill. They all have a macabre fascination, and they just want to feel what pain, what this level of pain feels like, Pendar.
And I think, I've thought for a long time, people who are miserable want to make others miserable.
Absolutely.
So that they can share that.
Absolutely. It's sort of the same science behind cutting, right? It's like, you mean to tell me hurting yourself physically is the very thing that makes you feel better? So if people will cut themselves with a razor blade to feel better, they certainly will
feel anything sometimes.
They'll come here and verbally cut people to try to hurt them as well.
Yeah.
It's the same science, just no razor blade. Yep.
Sometimes I think I've watched too much, or I listen too much, or I don't really want to know. All this stuff is so sad.
It is, and the thing is that we're all so far in that we can't turn around now. We can't turn around.
No.
Look at little Fawn right here. She said, I had to retire, and then she felt like she gave up on her.
Oh.
She couldn't do her line of work any longer without going crazy. The things you see when you wear a badge. Look at that, man. Right?
Yeah.
Now, I know that Fawn isn't talking about this case, but let me tell you how many times in my own mind and heart I had silently quit. I'm like, I'm done. I can't do not another shred. I can't go another foot. I can't walk another step. I cannot do this anymore. And then something will happen that will totally redeem the way that you look at this tragedy. You're like, okay, I can go for another couple of days.
Give you that energy. Yeah. Inspiration. It takes inspiration. I saw what you said. I forget, your earlier live when you had talked to John.
Yeah.
And he helped you kind of get that inspiration back again. I was glad to hear that.
Let me show you something that is so crazy about there was a biblical sign between me and John today, and I want to share it. And I know that he won't be upset. In fact, he'll be like, yeah, that's cool. So me and John, we've been having we've been talking on the phone and we've been going at it, texting and all of that. But let me show you something. We were talking, and he was talking about he had stopped to have a margarita and some chips and stuff. And he was telling me, he was taking a picture, showing me that he was about to leave and head home. And so he sent me a picture of, here, let me make it big.
Okay. He
sent me a picture of him about to leave the Chili's or wherever he's at.
All right.
And I was like, that's cool, right? Me and John, that's cool. And so, but the crazy thing is when you're looking for signs, when you're looking for some of these crazy people on YouTube are doing, when you look at this picture, you're like, oh yeah, John's just, he's having some drinks and he's having some salsa. But when you zoom the picture in and you look at what is on the TV.
Oh my gosh.
He took a picture for me at the exact time he wanted to, and he didn't know that he had captured my last name on the video on the TV
That's
screen.
great. That's great. Wow.
If that's not a sign from God, I don't know what it is.
Oh, I totally believe that stuff. I
Absolutely.
totally believe.
I mean, hands down. And so
Yeah.
to me, you know, I've been talking about this sign with many people that are important to me with John. And it's like, you know, to me, like that is a blatant sign. It's like,
Well,
you know, so
it's like,
it's, you know,
speak to me, Lord.
yes.
Well, there you go.
Speak to me because I'm going to listen, right? I'm looking
Yeah.
and listening for everything right now, you
Yep.
know, and he's revealing himself. And,
I do that too.
Gang. But before I'm going to close up here in a minute. But before we do that, I want to
I'm going to go and I'm going to let you talk and I'll listen.
thank you for coming up, beautiful.
Thank you so much, Benny. I appreciate you so much.
You're
God
welcome.
bless.
And you are welcome to come anytime, beautiful.
Okay. Sounds good. Have a good
All right,
night.
bye-bye. Yeah, that's my real, true burning bush variety sort of spiritual experience. And I had one today with Big John Crimes. And it's so awesome, right? Because we've been really talking and yeah, right. John is an amazing man. He's very inspirational. And you know, let me tell you something about John. He said, Benny, I want to ask you for a favor. And I was like, John Crimes wants to ask me for a favor? Like, you mean the John Crimes that's like best friends with Stephanie Harlow? And I was like, yeah, you can ask me for a favor. Yeah, anything. I mean, you know, within reason, John. And he's like, cool. He's like, but I want you to ask me for a favor first. And I was like, damn, for real? Like, he wants me to ask him for a favor first. And this is what he told me. He prefaced his favor. He said, I'm going to tell you, usually all my favors are for someone else. And I said, damn, because the favor that I'm going to ask you to do is going to be for someone else too. So we were already yoked in that way. And yes, Little Fawn, like, it's awesome. It's awesome. I really, really admire Big John, and I really admire everything that he's come from, and you know the things that you know that he's come away from, you know. And he asked me to do this, and I'm going to do this right now. He had said something about doing it in a separate video, and I'm going to follow. I'm going to follow what he asked me to do, but I'm going to say it right now. John said, Benny, I understand that you're a lot like me. And he said, Benny, you know, you're from a different place in the world. And he's like, where you live at, Benny, everyone knows each other's address, right? And I said, yeah, right? Like, if you have a problem with someone in real life, you can just go over to their house and talk to them, right? And so he really helped put into a perception for myself that when I came in, being the kind of guy I am, alpha guy, and, you know, and all of those things, it's like when I felt threatened, I was still in the real world, but on YouTube. And when I felt threatened, I didn't know that other people felt threatened by having their address put online, because it never bothered me, because I'm in the real world. It doesn't bother me that you know my address or you know my mom's address. It doesn't bother my mom either. It doesn't bother my wife. It doesn't bother us. And so because it was that way in my own life, when I saw other people using it as a tool, I didn't understand why, because I didn't feel the same things they felt when they were doxxed. When I was doxxed, I was like, that's stupid, man. So now that I understand fully the art of the dox, really how I understand it now is that doxing isn't good for a bunch of reasons. But let me tell you why it's not good for Benny to dox. And it's for this reason. Because when Benny doxes someone, there is no real issue. The issue is derived and cultivated by the content creators so that they can splash this greed and this victimization from being doxed by Benny onto their subscribers, and they get paid. When I dox somebody, somebody else gets paid. So for now on, no more doxing. Because I don't care where you live at. And I don't care if you know where I live at. And because it doesn't bother me when you put my address up here, there's no power in me putting your address up here anymore either, because now I understand. Now I understand. I understand that for me to stomp out Enchanted Life Path like a piece of coal that's outside the fire, I don't have to put my hand down there and try to pick it up and get burnt. Just put my foot on it and snuff it out. Shut it up. Don't talk to it. Don't touch it. Don't look at it. Don't think about looking at it, and don't think about touching it. You stomp out people like Enchanted Life Path by just putting your foot on it. Go ahead, Silvana. I'm going to take one question. Close. Thank you, Helen. Yeah, he needs his head examined. That's it. Treat it like an art. That's it. That's it. A scandal, yeah. Gang, beautiful. Gang. And that's really where it's at, right? It's like to get involved and tangle buttholes with Molly Golightly makes no sense online. Because all she's going to do is she's going to make you some sort of offender, and she's going to victimize herself and roll over so people can pay her money. So if you want to not further it be in furtherance of that bullshit, just don't watch it. Don't reply to it. None of that. Thank you, Fluffy. Thank you, Lily. Thank you. Tay in the wind. Tangle buttholes. Yeah, I mean, suffocated, right? And I got that from Penny and John Crimes. Like, they're like, man, look here. If you stop doing that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, John's like, bro, you could be a huge true crime channel. A huge true crime channel. Because you do the drama good, you expose people good, but then your investigative tack is like, it's on point. Right? I got to where I'm at right now, not because I expose people good, but because I'm a giant in research, and I have Aussie Insider to thank for that. Like, you know, let me show you something, and this is real, and I'm going to close up with this, all right? This is what I want to do, guys, gals. This is what I would like to do. I think it's pertinent, actually. I think that if we are going to continue on being web sleuths in this community, I think that it's important that the ladies and gentlemen that are going to ride together in this unit through this case and other cases to go, we need to take this course right here. This is a crash course in OSINT, which is open source intelligent networks. It is using all the tools that Trace Labs would use, for instance. And of course, inside of this is going to be, these principles are going to also be married with ethics and morality and integrities, and it's living by this code of ethics that OSINT will provide, that I think is going to be the difference between what we can do over here and what the rest of them do. So I am going to say that here in the next couple of days, I'm going to break this video down into 4 one-hour parts. And I ask that any and all of you try to join in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sneak it in. I'm going to hide it in other videos with other content you guys want to see, because like tonight, when you're not really talking about Ziggy or any of these other people, we have a problem getting over 500 people, which this is a nice size group right here. And I wouldn't even be upset if that number went down to 100 people when we start running through this full course. We have to understand all of the different dynamics of what we're actually doing while we're trying to be helpful. So with that being said, you guys keep that on your calendar of things to do. I know we're already, we're already lumped in with everybody else in the length of lives. Like I was always 50 minutes, 45 minutes, and now we're doing these 2 and 3 hours. So we still could talk about the things that we want to talk about and cover an hour of this course per day, to be beneficial to ourselves. And this is the thing. It's going to help us immensely in the way that we research and we maneuver and traverse through these cases. But more than us, it's going to make us precision instruments in the way that we deal with victims and victims of crime. So with that being said, I want to thank all of you individually for stopping by this evening. I want to thank you all for taking this ride with me and looking at what getting away might look like. Use your minds, guys. Use your analytical mind, your critical thinker, right? If you're in need, please go stop by AF Pennington's and please give her a heart. Tell her she's in your prayers. Send her some love. If you've got a little something extra to spare, send her some money. Shit, I'm going to send her some money when we get done here. But this is our beloved Summer Wells. She is age 5. She's a female. She's white, blonde hair, blue eyes, 40 pounds, 3 feet tall, missing from Rogersville, Tennessee. She's been missing since June 15th, 2021. Anyone with information regarding Summer Wells' whereabouts is urged to call 1-800-TBI-FIND. Look at that precious little girl. If any of you are needing or are in need of the resource of the flyer, please look no more. We have the flyers right here on the site. If you go down to the bottom, it says it right here, flyers here. You click that and it will pop open a PDF or a JPEG, depending on your operating system. So these are, in fact, the only flyers. We don't need anyone. It's not helpful to create other flyers. We need these 2 flyers circulated in totality, nothing else. We do also ask that if you are going to be involved in sharing pictures of this beautiful little girl, that you only share pictures that are family and law enforcement approved, and those will be located right here. Only these pictures, nothing else, please. Okay. Now, in any burning desires, anybody have anything that they just have to have covered before I put the lid on this thing? Thank you, Rose. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you for being a great, great mod, Izzy. You are the bomb.com, love. You are a badass. Yep, if anybody's got an urgent question or burning desire, please go ahead and drop it in the chat. I'll wait another couple of minutes, and then I'm going to. Okay, Peggy, go ahead, Miss LaCroix. Miss LaCroix. Wash the jumbo jets, please. And get it fueled out of hangar 1. Tim is going to be come picking me up. I don't even need to pack a bag. It's a 2-seater. I got clothes at Don and Candace's. Peggy, KKK Slayer. Why did Mr. Wells give puppy to Ziggy? He was manipulated, and he was really wanting to get the woman out of there, and Ziggy cued her daughter to start crying, and, you know, Mr. Wells was manipulated. I mean, look at all the other people she's manipulated, right? Fred Hill, so on and so forth. So I'm looking for you, Peggy. I don't see you yet. Yeah, no, I'm not monetized. Yeah, you're never going to have to look at an ad to look at. I don't make any money here other than just my supporters. It's simple manipulation. That's it. Thank you so much for that, Izzy Love. Does Don, Candace, and Jody get along? No. Pre-flight. The manipulation is real. It's real as fuck. You know, I've even been told by the family. They're like, Benny, man, you need to, hey, Benny, how is your mom's dog after being attacked? He is all brand new. Doesn't have a brand new face. He's still missing some hair, but he's back acting like a puppy. I tell you what, that hard head ass, he still goes over there and barks at the dog that remains, and we aren't happy about that. Thank you, KK. I love you, gal. I'm glad to see you back in here, man. It warms my heart to see you back in here. Am I a relative of the family? And if not, via YTube, you got on board about the case. It was via YouTube. Don't listen to Cher. She's going to tell you she met me a few days after Summer went missing, and I didn't get involved in this until about the second week of July, before I took my trip to Colorado, Tennessee. I was very brand new to the case. At that point, I wasn't even tied with Cher yet. I was still running independent. I didn't get with Cher until after the first month, after the first 5 weeks. I went solo for quite a while. And then I was dealing with Lizzie. And then I made that jump over and started dealing with Cher. And that lasted, I don't know, 2 months or so, whatever. It was very painful 2 months because I'll tell you, Cher is a nice enough gal in her real life when you're not pinned against, you know, religion or politics. But you start to see a more reflective personality, being that this is the most important thing that most people have going on in their life. And so, you know, there's so much importance placed on this. And, you know, I'm just going to say it, like, Cher, I'm still waiting to see the fucking white plane. I don't know how many more videos I've got to make about you and this white plane before you show me this fucking white plane. In fact, I'm going to show you one more video about this white plane, and then I'm going to fucking drop it, okay? Like, I'm sick and tired of you and your lies, Cher. Oh, FYI, Scott, he dropped some heroes and got with some zeros today. So you're gonna see Scott H supplicating to J is for Justice and to Cher with her uneventful, mostly unirrelevant ass. We're gonna close up with this, guys. This is in reference to the white plane, Cher. I know you've seen it. Well, about 7,000 people have seen it.
Don't
there right now.
Benny, I would have kicked you out for talking about playing anyway.
Don't you be a man, Mr. Mark.
Tell her to show the picture, Mr. Mark. Come on, let's
That's not what this stream is about, Benny. Drop it or I'm kicking you.
It won't never be about that plane ever again. Watch, looking ass. Stupid ass skank.
kick me that.
Okay.
Stop! No, stop! No, stop! I want to talk to you.
Fucking channel. Fucking channel.
Damn, bro. Caucasian O.J. Simpson looking ass. Look between this fool's eyebrows. That fool had Grand Canyon between his eyebrows. I ain't never seen him. Look at his eyes. Look.
Lots of questions.
Watch.
Benny.
And then it goes
I have
away.
shit to say to him.
Then it goes away.
I know you did. But that's not what this stream is about.
This is my house, Cher. Looking
Don't.
ass.
They always do. And you always act like it's a miracle.
My dear Tattoo, when each guest is paying $50,000 for a 3-day stay on Fantasy Island,
Calm down.
he or
Looking
she
ass.
deserves miracles.
Anyway, whole time coming to back on the non-profit.
I also want to thank somebody. I don't know who. I don't know who to thank. Looking ass. But man, we're getting some real motherfucking we're getting some real awareness on this channel now. Right? I don't really know any of y'all that got 80,000 views on a video in this community other than like fucking Stephanie Harlow and shit. The Interview Room. So shouts out to whoever shared this video wherever it is. We're getting great awareness. Great awareness. I'm stoked about it. You ever seen The Godfather? I know you have. Molly Golightly is gonna make Candace a deal she can't refuse. Looking ass. If you delete this, if you do this, I'll delete every video I ever made of you looking ass. I love you all individually. Remember, the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. Love you guys. Fuck this game.